to the recording of the OWASP DevSecOps Workshop titled Is DAST the Gift or Bane? Presented by Mohammed Imran from Practical DevSecOps. We're making this recording available for those who weren't able to attend live due to the limited number of spots. Enjoy.
Imran's awesome. Okay, so first of all, Imran is the person, so I quote him in my book. He's the person that first described to me what DevSecOps was. He's like, Tanya, it's what we've always done as AppSec professionals. We just need to change ourselves a bit for the processes and the way they're doing things in DevOps. So we still want secure apps. We still want this. We still have the same goals. We just adjust what we're doing so that it fits and it works with them instead of, you know, if we do traditional waterfall ways that we do software and then we did security and then we try to throw that at DevOps people, it's not going to work. So it's like adjusting ourselves so that everything works right. And I was like, you make it sound so easy, but I guess that's why, you know, he's the guy.
Okay, so let's get started now. Today, we will discuss a couple of things related to DAST, like what is DAST and why do we even need or care DAST? What are some of the challenges when it comes to implementing DAST, or dynamic analysis, so-called in CI/CD or DevOps pipeline? And then we'll also see what are the different types of DAST scans. And then do we really need to write a custom plugin or a wrapper script to do whatever, like, you know, authentication, or maybe adding something or removing something. Maybe you don't want to have HSTS headers or something like that. You might want to remove that. So would that really need a custom plugin or not? And then we'll also do a lot of exercises in our platform. Now, having said that, this is about me and, of course, my company as well, I guess. So I run a company called History Technologies, Inc., which is basically a boutique DevSecOps shop. We help our customers and clients with DevSecOps, implementing and then training them on DevSecOps. We are based out of Singapore, but we do have offices in San Francisco and India. Well, apart from these things, you know, previously I used to be with DevSecOps, but now there are other couple of projects which I contribute to, like DevSecOps Studio, Awesome Fuzzing, and other ones. And we wrote, you know, a couple of books as well there and courses as well. You can check out our website, practicaldevsecops.com, if you are interested. But we regularly speak in international conferences like OWASP, of course. We do train there as well, Black Hat, AppSec, BrewCon, DevSecOn, Hack in the Box, and what have you. So to say that I do know a bit about security, which is what I would like to share today. I've been in the industry from over a decade now, helping organizations like CA Technologies, Zendesk, Autodesk, mostly based out of San Francisco, Market Street, but yeah. Now, having said that, of course, we do offer these certifications around DevSecOps, professional, expert, and architect and leader. And the kind of the workshop which you are doing is based on our content in the course, and you will see that firsthand if that's something interesting to you as well. Now, as part of these, we help you learn kind of how to build a security culture, how to use interactive and task-oriented tasks to make sure you learn the concepts, and then these things, of course, are scalable and whatnot, so pretty standard. Now, before we even get into these things, why do we even want to do DAST with or without, you know, DevSecOps? Are we without within CI/CD pipeline, or just running as a standalone script? This is one of the reasons, and I think, and this slide, I literally copied it from Tanya's slide. And this is a research from an institute called Ponemon Institute. As you can see here, as you move towards your right-hand side, the cost to fix a bug increases drastically. And you can see, if you would like to fix an issue in security phase, it would cost about $960 US, and the figures are in USD. And if you would like to figure, and this is per bug, it's not like a cumulative number. So if you would like to fix a security bug in production, it would cost you $7,600 to fix the bug. And that's why people are talking more and more about shifting left. It all if I have to summarize it, it just basically means that let's reduce the business risk, let's reduce the cost of fixing a bug, and then make our save some money, basically, or improve efficiency, and then catch these issues way before it goes to production and before hackers find it, right? And one of the problem I think DevSecOps or in general using security tools in CI/CD pipelines solves is giving you enough time and notice so that you can be very proactive about security rather than reactive. And we are seeing these days in general, like, oh, today someone got hacked, tomorrow someone else, and what have you. And that's just kind of a new normal, I guess, for us, all of us in security and outside also. And there's no denying about it. No matter how awesome you are, even security companies get hacked, right? And even government agencies like CIA, FBI can get hacked. That's the reality of it. No matter how awesome you are, you will eventually get hacked. It's not a question of when, but question of how, but when you will basically get hacked. So you will get hacked no matter who you are. That's the reality of it. Now, having said that, what can we do to find these issues early on and then maybe bring in some sense of security or assurance into the pipeline? Now, what's the problem with the current pen testing or vulnerability assessment kind of methodology? Now, for one, it is great. We still have to do it and we should keep on doing it. So I'm not definitely saying, oh, we should stop doing pen test, but we should be using pen test as a way to gauge how effective our DevOps or application security program is running. You can call it as secure as DLC, product security, DevSecOps, whatever makes sense to you, shift left, fair enough. Whatever that is you're doing, pen test act as a gauge, like an audit to see, yes, we are doing a really good job or we are not doing a really good job. Now, apart from that, there is this survey from ASG. This is like a year-old survey where 68% of the respondents are expecting to secure 75% or more of their applications using DevSecOps. And DevSecOps is here to stay. Like it or not, it's going to stay. So you have to learn how to use it. Now, one of the important aspects of DAST, or dynamic analysis, DevSecOps is dynamic analysis. So we have SCA, which stands for software component analysis, SAST, which stands for static analysis, DAST, IST, RASP, and whatnot. So like a lot of fancy terms which Gartner and people like to bring in. But basically, all of these different techniques are allowing you to find security issues in the code or in the application, in the software, basically. And DAST is one such a methodology. So let's look at what exactly is DAST, right? Or dynamic analysis. So I'll just, instead of calling it as dynamic application security testing, right, DAST, I just like to call it as dynamic analysis, right? And it doesn't have to be just related to security. Anything like a runtime analysis, you might have heard about it, or you might have heard about static analysis. It's not specific to security. It's just that we are using it to do our job of finding security issues. Now, having said that, dynamic analysis tests are run while the application is running, or it's running in a runtime, in a running format, right? Compile time versus runtime kind of a thing there. And the beauty of this, and why security professionals love this instead of, let's say, static analysis, is because all you have to know to attack an application or to figure out the vulnerabilities in application is a couple of protocols. Maybe you're using HTTP or SOAP and what have you. If you know basically your HTTP, your web protocol, then you're good to go. You don't have to know the nitty-gritty details of a programming language, how to code it and whatnot. Now, I asked one of my friends, like, hey, why did you even join or started your career in security? And he said that I really hate coding and I really don't want to go in that. So that's why I searched what are the other alternatives. I first started doing system administration, and then that landed me into security. And that's kind of a typical path most of the security professionals take. And for them, dynamic analysis is amazing, right? So we'll see some of the why, what are some of the reasons why it's great for security professionals, why they love it, not static analysis or other kind of tests. Nothing wrong in those, but security professionals in general like dynamic analysis. As you can see, it's easy to get started without extensive knowledge about a programming language. That's a strength when it comes to dynamic analysis. But with that comes a weakness, and no tool in the world, no matter who that is saying in the world, is not perfect. Maybe like I know some vendors online, they say, oh, we have 0 false positives. We don't give any false positives. I say bullshit, literally. Excuse me for using that word, but not possible, because you need to understand the context of an application to really say 0 false positives, right? Dynamic analysis, since it sits outside of application, it's not always possible to have 0 false positives when it comes to dynamic analysis. And because of that, we cannot guarantee the coverage of the application itself. And also the other problem when it comes to DAST, especially security tools, is its inability to crawl JavaScript heavy frameworks, especially if you're developing you're using like a front-end frameworks like React.js, AngularJS, Vue.js, and these new modern frameworks. And when it comes to threats related to dynamic analysis, that it doesn't really fit into CI/CD pipeline. But then what can we do to ensure that we can put dynamic analysis also as part of CI/CD pipeline, right? Traditionally, these scans, even if you have like a 7 to 8 page application with a couple of input points, it would take about 1 to 2 hours. And spending 1 to 2 hours doing these tests as part of the production CI/CD system is like a great sin. It's like a commandment. Never ever do these sins in CI/CD pipeline. Any tool which takes more than 10 minutes should not be part of your production CI/CD pipeline. Probably you can put it in the QA pipelines, that's fine, but production, no, never. Okay, that's one thing. And then what can we do to solve these problems? Like it's a JavaScript. What about JavaScript heavy frameworks, right? What we can do is that we can use the techniques and tools which DevOps teams are using to make your job easy, which is like maybe they're using a testing framework like a Gauge or a Robot or a Selenium. You just use that to make your life easy, and then not to reinvent the whole wheel again. And if done rightly, dynamic analysis can give you a lot of good results. It can reduce false positives drastically. And this is something which kind of surprises a lot of security professionals. When they buy a tool, maybe it's like a 150K USD for a year's subscription, and then they assume that, oh, all my problems are gone now because now I bought a fancy tool which will solve all of my problems. Again, far from reality. Unless you're writing custom rule sets, it's not going to help, no matter how expensive it is. And that's exactly, and what kind of a proof can I give you to say this is right? Now, I would like all of you to go ahead and then visit whatever vendor you are using. Maybe you are using Checkmarx, Micro Focus, what have you, and see if they provide any professional services. And all of them have these professional services. And they do mention that, yes, we help you reduce false positives, which means that these tools will have false positives because they make some meaningful decisions. Again, I'm not saying these tools are bad. They are very good, of course, but they have some limitations, limitations in terms of how much time we spend in scanning a code or how much memory we have, right? So they make a meaningful, benchmarks to see, okay, it's okay to have like about 80% of efficiency, but 20% of false positives, it's okay, but I need to finish it faster. So that's a kind of priority they might follow. And then the other thing is that, opportunity is because you only have to know about HTTP protocol. It doesn't matter which programming language you use. So even if you're using Golang, Python, Java, it doesn't matter. Whereas for static analysis, you do have to know nitty-gritty details about all of these things. And other thing about the new technologies like IST and RAST is that they support a particular language. If your language is not included as part of the RAST or IST solution, then it would not be supported, which is not the case when it comes to dynamic analysis, right? So that's why now the question arises is it a boon or a bane, right? And a lot of people have like a different notions about dynamic analysis. Some of my friends call dynamic analysis as false positive as a service, which means it gives you tons and tons of false positives if you don't configure it properly. So yeah,
Imran, I do have a question that
yeah.
comes from the chat.
Yeah.
They're asking, I think you mentioned that it can't handle heavy frameworks. Why is that?
Yeah, okay, because traditionally when you do scans, what you need is links so that it can, dynamic analysis scans can click on them literally instead of clicking, they traverse it, but think it this way. So the tools have to click on the link and then that opens another page and click on that, blah, blah, blah. Now that doesn't happen in the modern JavaScript heavy frameworks, which are like React and whatnot. So these rely on events, and that might not be possible for dynamic analysis tools to really be comfortable with it. So because it's a dynamic language, you're not really sure that, oh, you're traversing everything, you're covering everything and whatnot. So it's because it's a event-driven kind of analysis. Can be done, but most tools are not good at it. Yeah, and then the way all of these tools work is different. They have a model MVC, which is model view controller. Some of them use it, some of them don't. So you have to now redo the stuff for every other framework, right? So that could be one of the reasons why they are not so good. And even AJAX Spiders are not so good at doing spidering. So yeah, so that's where they kind of lack there, suffer a bit there. But then again, things are improving, but they're still not yet at a mature state. So let's move on and then discuss other things. So now, dynamic analysis can be used to test applications, configurations, infrastructure as code. Let's say if you're using Terraform or CloudFormations, you can use that. Even Ansible, Chef, and Puppet can be tested as if they are code. Your infrastructure can be tested right now as if they are code. And even Docker containers and Docker daemons can be tested for using dynamic analysis for security misconfigurations and what have you, right? And traditionally, we used to do this at the end of the development lifecycle in the pen test, right? Whereas now with the CI/CD, with the DevOps, now organizations are pushing code to production every 9 seconds. Now imagine your developers are pushing code every 9 seconds. They are also introducing vulnerabilities every 9 seconds. Now, can you really stop them from going live every 9 seconds? Probably not. Security doesn't really have a lot of say in these kind of things unless you are working for a highly regulated industry, maybe like a banking, financial institutions, and what have you. But other than that, the rest of the organizations, they again, even they don't go to production every 9 seconds. So again, far from it. Mostly startups do that, but still organizations like Capital One, which is a bank, is doing DevOps at a very rapid pace. They do DevSecOps and what have you. I think there's another company in UK called Monzo, Revolut. I guess those guys are also now doing these things. So the modern banks, even though they are highly regulated, are now going towards these things. Now, this next slide is controversial. Okay, don't quote me on this one, but this is my personal opinion. Okay. You can disagree with this one. It's fine. We don't have to debate on this one and what have you. But from what I have used is this. The ZAP is amazing tool if you can go through this. It's steep learning curve. And when I say steep learning curve, not the UI traditional stuff, but the DevSecOps stuff, wherein you have to really go in and then write scripts to automate stuff. That kind of stuff, right? Whereas Burp Suite also provides you that ability, but comparatively, I think that's a bit easier to use. And again, I gave it 4 out of 5, not 5 out of 5, because the ability to embed in CI/CD is only available in a commercial enterprise license, not as part of your typical professional license. That's why. And then there's a NICTO, there is SSLIs, there are like some issues in there. We'll talk about that. I love NMAP, so I gave it 4 out of 5. We will see why we did not give it 4 out of 5, because it does not fail the build if we find issues. We can easily write a wrapper script to make it work. But other than that, we will spend some time on most of our time on ZAP, because if you learn one dynamic analysis tools, all of them are same. Maybe it's AppScan or Web Inspect. All of them rely fundamentally on sending a request and analyzing the response and see if we found an indication of a vulnerability. Okay. Now, as part of these things, in our lab, we have these machines. Okay. So we have a Git server, we have a GitLab server, there's a runner machine, and there is a production machine as well. Okay. So we would be deploying an application on the production machine, and we would be attacking that production machine from a developer machine. And once we are done with that initially, and then we will put it into CI/CD pipeline so that developers can catch these issues early on. So first, as a security engineer, we will automate it, find out baselines, and then we'll go ahead and then put it into CI/CD pipeline. Again, never ever put anything directly into CI/CD pipeline, right? So yeah, test it locally first, and then once you are happy with it, then you can go ahead and then embed it. Now, let's talk about probably the most well-known tool in DAST, dynamic analysis test, which is ZAP Proxy, also known as ZAP Proxy. This is a flagship project of OWASP. It's a free and open source web proxy, and it's forked from Paris Proxy a long time ago, and it's written in Java, and it's free and open source, cross-platform. It is Java, so that's why it's cross-platform, so you can run it on Windows, Mac, Linux. Pretty easy to install, and then it has a Docker container, so it makes it even nicer, easier to do it, right? And it's free, and then it's also it's actively developed by a lot of volunteers. And if you have some spare time and then you are comfortable with Java, feel free to contribute to this amazing project. You would definitely love it. Okay, and then why we would love to talk about ZAP is because of these things. It can fail a build when it finds security issues, and it can ignore the issues if there are false positives, and we can do it in the code. We don't have to now go ahead and then log into a portal and then say click bunch of lessons, and then bunch of links, and then do it. And then we can definitely, it does fail based on severity. Like we can say fail on high, low, medium, and what have you. It saves in a file as well. And this is very important. Like, why do we even care if the results are stored in a file? Is because if you're in a banking industry or a highly regulated industry, the vulnerability management system might not be in the same VLAN or in the same network as your CI/CD pipeline. So we would like to store the results in a file and then push it into another VLAN. It's kind of difficult sometimes for paid tools to do that. You have to go through a lot of hops to get it done. But so that's why we need to store it in a results. Now, there are a lot of other scans, but for now, for our discussion's sake, we'll keep it pretty simple. We'll say there are two types of scans: the baseline scan and the ZAP full scan. Okay, and I'll tell you why we are segregating it this way. Okay, now the baseline scan is an ideal scan for CI/CD pipeline because it finishes within 2 to 3 minutes. You can of course configure it to run it longer, but again, remember what we said, that anything which takes more than 10 minutes of your time should not be part of your production CI/CD server. So that's why. And then we also have active scan, which is ideal for QA scans because it runs for a longer time and it does a deeper scans, whereas baseline scans just finds low-hanging fruits. And then once we are done with that, we can configure the baseline scans or even active scans to only look for specific checks. Okay, so that's something we would like to do when we mature more in DevSecOps. And then baseline scan is pretty easy to get started. Anyone can get started right away with with a couple of clicks and stuff, you can get it running. Whereas active scan needs a lot of tuning because it has to be now tuned according to every application you have in your organization, right? It's not like configure it once and then forget about it. Okay? You have to tune it. Because as I said, context matters. You provide context to these things by tuning it, providing rule sets to it. So that's what we would be doing now. So let's look at how a simple baseline scan would look like. So I will log in into the portal, the training portal. Okay. So this is the link which you will be given access to right now. If you go ahead and click on any of these links, you will be redirected to enroll now. So my colleague would give you access to it in a couple of minutes. So hold on a minute, don't worry about it. Okay, so if you're not comfortable with this platform, there are 2 tutorials on how to use this platform and whatnot. If it doesn't make sense to you right away, feel free to explore that, but I'll just go ahead and then click on these things. And there's, of course, dynamic analysis can be done with NICTO, Nmap, SSLIs for SSL configurations and what have you. And we can also do put it into CI/CD pipeline. Feel free to explore that. But I highly suggest you stick to ZAP at the moment. We will be giving you 7 days of access to this platform, so you can use it when you have time. So for now, let's stick to the dynamic analysis using ZAP. Okay. And as you can see, we're trying to now learn how to find security issues using ZAP. And specifically here, we are talking about, the baseline scan. Okay. So with that, and you can see here, there's a pulsing note here, which is saying, hey, click on me, please click on me, please do me, please click on me. So please do not forget to click on this link. Otherwise systems will not start. Okay. So click on that link and there you go. You are dropped into a terminal. And we made it so friendly that you don't even have to type commands. You just have to click on this button and it runs. That's it. Okay. So we just started Docker on this host, and it's a machine. It's not like a simulation and what have you there. You can see here it's a Ubuntu 18.04, and then let's go ahead and then download the Docker container. Okay, it's downloading that. And a quick note, this is time bound, which means after 20 minutes or 40 minutes, it would get disconnected. And if it does get disconnected, all you have to do to reset your environment is to do this, refresh the page. That's it. It's going to come back to normal. Okay. Click on that once again. As you can see here, these are some of the options which the baseline scan gives us. Now we will understand what each of these mean, and then how it will help us achieve DevSecOps automations, DAST automation in CI/CD pipeline. Okay, so explore that if you have time. And then, but I do have answer here. As you can see here, what I'm really saying is that, hey, run this on this website called prod something, some unique ID. So let's see. Let me go to that website. So let me copy that, and you will see we are running an application on this thing, and I can log in here into this application, and this ID would be different. So this ID would be different for each of you. So make sure you click on that. You can see there is some web application here. Okay, so we'll attack this. We'll attack it both in an authenticated fashion and unauthenticated fashion. For now, let's stick on to the baseline scan. As you can see, we did find out a lot of issues. We are good from a CSP scanner. We are using content security policy, which is good, but we are using HTTP only cookie. Are we? No. Okay, so the cookie HTTP flag is not there, which is bad. Cookie secure flag, we are using that, which is good. This might not always be the case. sometimes maybe you are using JWT and you're storing the token at the cookie, and you would like to retrieve it as using JavaScript. So maybe that's not a bad thing. Depends on your context, right? Cache control, once again, X content type policy, strict transport policy, server leaks information via server, and content security policy, and what have you. Now, some of these could be false positives. For example, anti-CSRF token, right? Maybe you are using an API, and there you have a header which acts as a kind of a CSRF token, or maybe you're using a double cookie to use it as a CSRF protection. Then maybe it's a false positive for you. So you should be able to say, hey, this is a false positive, don't bother me about this for this application and whatnot. So we'll look into those things slowly, okay? Now, next thing which we could do is this textual representation is not going to help anyone, because we cannot push it into a vulnerability management system, or we can't programmatically push into, let's say, a defect tracking system like Jira, so that developers can work on it during their sprint. And in order to do that, ZAP does provide you this option -J. There's also an option to save it in XML form, but let's stick with JavaScript. As you can see, we are giving -T, the host name, and then -J, the ZAP file here. Okay, and my scan is running here now. And if you do ls in this directory, once the scan is done, you will see that there's a file called zap-output.json. So I will let it run. So now, having saved that, did it finish? Okay, so yes, it did finish the scan. And you can see there is this file called zap-output.json, and you see it's a JSON, and it did find some issues, like some alerts, like no cache something, the same alerts which we saw before, but just that this time they are in a format, JSON format, right? So that's the difference there. Now, if this is the entire thing, then what's so fun about it, right? There should be something specifically related to CI/CD pipelines, or specifically related to DevOps. Now, there was no baseline scan when ZAP started. So Simon added this pretty recently from a project standpoint, life standpoint of view. And this is added to be used as CI/CD pipeline, honestly. Okay, so if you're not using this, then I guess you're just doing a disservice to your organization now. Okay, there's no reason for you not to use it. It's a free open source. All you need is, as you can see, there's just one command, provided you have a Docker installed. And you can run it in any CI/CD system of your choice, be it Jenkins. And for the love of God, please do not use any plugins to do stuff. Try to put it in in command line, so that you can put it into any CI/CD system of your choice. Try to avoid using plugins, especially in Jenkins. Try to do it via APIs, via scripts, or via command line interfaces if they do provide you that. Okay. Now,
can I interrupt you with another question, Imran?
Sure.
One is asking, when running ZAP in a CI/CD pipeline context, what are the drawbacks for running the latest Docker image vs running scans from a dedicated instance?
I'm not sure I understand the question, but let me paraphrase it. Probably, maybe that's the right context. Feel free to correct me, Joanne, there. Okay, so when running ZAP, what are the drawbacks from pulling and running the latest Docker image? If you don't want to pull the latest image, then we can just use a tag. There's some tag which is available. Use that. You don't have to use latest. Here we are using latest to just show that things might break if you use latest, or if you want to mark your dependencies so and so version, that's fine as well. So, and you can also what you can see is that you can cache these containers if your CI/CD system allows you to do that. So that would then again reduce things. But you will see in the next exercise that even with all of this pulling and whatnot, it finishes within 3 to 5 minutes, which is not a lot of time. right? So it should be fine. And then and the reason why we should be using Docker is because right now even developers are using Docker containers to basically reduce the differences between what goes or what runs on a developer machine versus what goes into production. And the way they do it is using maybe Docker Compose, Kubernetes, and what have you. And when you do have these containers, you can run them in the CI/CD pipeline, so you don't have to stand up a dedicated instance. If your application is straightforward, especially if you're using a microservices, then maybe if it's not dependent on other microservices, it's pretty straightforward. You can just run one service and then be done with it, test that service. And then you can do integration tests in QA environment and what have you. So I think, yeah, so dedicated environments is also fine if you can afford it, and maybe every commit is being pushed directly into staging. Fair enough, makes sense, right? But that's not reality always. So maybe that's something there as well. Okay.
We have a question in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recommend creating custom Docker images of ZAP with interesting plugins installed on top of the default image provided by OWASP?
Yeah, definitely.
So you can personalize it?
Yeah, you should. That's what I was saying, right? You have to personalize it on an application level. So every application needs to be personalized in some way or fashion. Without that, you will not get good results. So yeah.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, you have to create, as I said, customized plugins if you have to, and then custom Docker containers. And other reason for that is now Docker started restricting you from pulling images from things, right? For example, if you do Docker pull limits, yeah. So here is the one. So this is breaking a lot of CI/CD systems in the world. So one more reasons why you should be hosting it inside your organization. Maybe you're using JFrog or Nessus, Sonatype Nessus, or maybe you are using the Amazon registry, container registry, DigitalOcean registry, GCP registries, GCR, and what have you. So you should be using it. And if they do, if Docker is down or Docker Hub is down, highly unlikely, but GitHub did went down, right? Like I think in 2018 because of a DNS attack. So it could happen, and a lot of people were not able to deploy to production. So same could happen. So download the latest version of OWASP ZAP and then use it, customize it, and store it internally in your organization, and use that to do scans so that you avoid that situation where the hub is down or your network is down and what have you. So that's something you have to keep in mind as well. Okay, so having said that, let's move on with the presentation, and so there are a lot of exercises. Okay, so you see there's one exercise here, there's one exercise here, there's one exercise here. There's a lot of exercises, so you will do these things step by step. So you're not losing any time here. Okay, so let's move on and then look at. So this is for, as I said, baseline scan is pretty straightforward for catching low-hanging fruits, and this is probably the bare minimum you should be doing. Every project of yours in the organization should be doing these things, bare minimum, right? Now the question arises is, again, this is where most people really look into, like, is it really a good investment of doing automation using DAST, or is it just you say, it's just wasting our time by customizing things, right? So these are some of the reasons why we would need to do customization. Maybe because of AJAX crawling. So maybe your QA team has already created automation to cover and have a complete coverage of your application, right? With AJAX crawling might not be able to find. Then you can use that, and then that allows you, or that needs a customization. So that's that. Single page applications, again, because of AJAX are JavaScript heavy frameworks. And then you don't want to probably reinvent. Like, okay, so there is this notion, or I have seen this in organizations where security team runs a separate pipeline, which is different than a DevOps pipeline, right? If you're doing it, please stop it. The reason for that, and I have done this, I have done that for like 2 years, literally, honestly. And then I literally became a build engineer. I had to learn how Maven runs, Ant runs, and a bunch of these build tools run. But I was not doing more security, but rather just more DevOps. And my skills and my expertise were in security, fuzzing, and stuff like that. So it would be better if I use my skills there rather than doing that. So using the function, using the tools or automation created by your QA teams or DevOps teams is what you should be using instead of creating your own separate pipeline. Never ever do that. Okay. So that's what I mean by not reinventing the wheel. So for that, you might have to customize it. And then sometimes what happens is that there is a captcha, or there is HSTS, there's some kind of a whitelisting, blacklisting going on from an IP perspective. Then you might have to customize it, saying that, hey, if this request is coming from here with this IP address, maybe add it in X forward options so that I can talk to my application and whatnot. So different use cases. Or maybe there is a custom authentication which is specific to your organization. It's not using JWT tokens or anything which is not generally supported by your DAST tools, right? There is a custom authorization and you want to ensure that you figure that out, then you might want to write these custom plugins. Or you want to ensure that as soon as a QA or developer adds a test, and we can start scanning it right away without we having to go and then manually click on each and every button. And then also maybe because of doing automation in CI/CD pipeline, right? So again, so scripting is at the heart of automation. So you have to, and you don't have to be a coding ninja or a developer to really do this. By scripting, I literally mean Googling and then going to Stack Overflow, copy pasting stuff, and then making it work. That's what I mean by scripting. You don't have to be, a programmer who is well versed in Java, Python, and whatnot. And if you can't do it, maybe ask some of your colleagues. Or if you can't do it, maybe ask your DevOps teams. If they can't do it, maybe hire interns, right? And that was like sarcasm from my end. But yeah, again, there is no reason for someone to say, oh, I don't know scripting. It's pretty easy to get started if you learn the basics. So we'll see those things, like how easy it could be. Okay, so now having said that, let's solve one of these, couple of these problems, like spidering. What about custom authentication? What about coverage and automation in CI/CD pipeline? So let's see examples in each of these. And as you can see, ZAP supports a bunch of programming languages, JavaScript and Java. ZAP is written in Java, but it has bindings. It uses Jython and Juby to help us write scripts in Python. So we'll be using Python, assuming that most security people are comfortable with Python. Okay, there's also a specific language called ZAST related, created by Firefox. So you can use that as well. Okay, but you do have to note that not all Python or Ruby APIs are compatible with ZAP's Java interface. So you have to be mindful. Some things will break, and that can definitely annoy you in terms of doing this. Okay, now the one thing which you can do to drastically improve the security findings in DAST is to ensure you have a good spidering. If you have a good spidering, which is basically good crawling, then you can guarantee that your tool can do good attacks, which means that you will get good results, right? So we have to do this for both unauthenticated scans and authenticated scans. So it's a must for great results, okay? Now, and exactly because of these reasons, ZAP provides you different ways to crawl an application. It allows you to crawl using traditional crawler, which is your HTML crawler. It allows you to do with AJAX heavy JavaScript frameworks with the help of AJAX Spidering. And then if you do have like a QA test written in Selenium or SOAP UI and stuff like that, it also allows you to scan those things. So instead of, let's say if you have an API, they do not have a UI. So your ZAP would be unable to find these endpoints. So how do you teach it? Then you give it SOAP API, SOAP API definitions, WSDL, so-called WSDL, or Open API specifications and specs, so also known as Swagger, right? So you give it, and then ZAP uses that to crawl these things and know, okay, these are the endpoints I have in my application. Let me try attacking it. So we'll see examples of all of these. So we'll do exercises on 1 or 2, but we'll see examples of these things. Okay, now, as I said before, ZAP is amazing, right? Provided you learn the basics, right? From basics of how to run this programmatically is this one. Now, what we are literally doing is this. So imagine you have a ZAP here, right? A ZAP here, and there's a website here. And you can see here, there's no website now, but I'm just saying that. So, okay, so attack, and then I can just say active scan, or, how do I get an application here, or like the URL of this here, right? So I have to set up a proxy in an application in a browser like a Firefox. Let me do that. Let me set up the proxy in another system. So preferences, network settings. Okay, let's do that. Okay, so you can see I did set up the proxy settings, and this is 8090 because if you look at the bottom here, the ZAP says I'm running on 8090, so that's why I'm also doing that there, opening it up there. Okay, now I do not have an application running on that address, so let me run an application. I'm running this all locally. Okay, so looks like there's an application running on port 8000. No, it's not. Okay, fair enough. So let me remove that application and then rerun it. Okay. Okay, so we did that, and then let's look at the localhost 8000. So let's do that. Okay, so it's saying, hey, we have a problem. It's okay. Accept the risk. We are using a set. This is self-signed certificate from ZAP. Okay, now as soon as I did that, you can see that it came in here, and then you can click on this and attack. Now, when you're doing automation in CI/CD pipeline, no one is there to click these buttons, and that's literally what we're doing in programming language using some code. And it's not scary. It doesn't have to be scary. As you can see here, we are just saying, hey, target is this website, target-website.com, and I would like you to scan, basically spider it. So how does it look like in UI? Right click on it and then say, where is the spider? It automatically does passive scan, but did I just updated this guy? Yeah, it's here. Sorry. So as you can see here, and then just saying start scan, and you can see previously you can see the URL fonts are increasing now. Previously it was like 4 or 5. Now it is 84. Right? I'm using a traditional thing. So yeah. So that's that there. Okay, so we're just doing that programmatically so that we can put it into CI/CD pipeline. Okay, this is your traditional spidering. We are not using AJAX spidering here. Okay, considering the application is traditional. And then if you want to use AJAX spidering, all you have to do is this zap.ajaxspider.scan, and then boom. So again, same thing as here, right? A little bit of differences here and there, but for the most part, it is same. Okay, and then you can also do is use, and this is what I would recommend people to start with if you are doing the automation, right? You start with baseline scan. Once you are done, don't reinvent the wheel. See what kind of automation your QA team is doing. Leverage that to do your spidering. That's it. Boom. Now, this is an example of a typical, excuse me, typical QA scan or a QA test scan, which people might be doing, like QA teams might be doing. Because you can see here, they are literally just saying, hey, get me a user ID, get me a password, send the keys user 10 and password as user 123, and then go to the dashboard. Once you're logged in, go to the dashboard. So that's what they are doing. They are using Selenium. Now, let us see this in action. And this is a, excuse me, a typical QA setup for active scan, right? So your developers will be using something like Selenium or Firefox, Chrome, and some browser. And then they would be bombarding or testing your production machine or staging machine or a developer instance, whatever that is, okay? Now, okay, so let's see one example of this one. As you can see, this is a demo. It's not an exercise. So hold on there. Okay, so let's go ahead and then see a demo. Okay, so let me go to here. So I wrote this automation, and this automation basically, and this is automation. Let me show you that once. This is a QA automation which I wrote, and this is a Selenium thing. And assuming that this is written by a QA team, we will leverage this to do our scans. Okay, and there's no security thing going on here. They are just testing their regular human tests, automated tests or manual tests. Okay, so some tests. And you can see that literally they are just crawling bunch of URLs and then submitting some information. This is what they are doing. So maybe we can leverage this, right? So we can teach our DAST tool to work nicely. Okay, so next is we will run this QS scan. And now what this is simulating is this here. So now the Selenium will start a browser, and the browser would then be used to click on a bunch of links, right? And then we are kind of going and checking what are the different functionalities of prod. Okay, so that's what would be doing. Now you will see here the browser URL is in white, whereas when I start the Selenium automation, and then when it starts the browser via the automation, it turns to this yellowish pinkish color. As you can see, I'm not typing up. My hands are up. As you can see, I'm not typing anything. This is all being done by the application. It's now logging in. It's going to dashboard. It did that. It went to task list. Okay, that project list search. Okay, it's editing the profile now. Fair enough. Okay, once that is done, it's just shutting itself off gracefully. This is the automation which QA written, and they are literally doing spidering, so it's like crawling or spidering, whatever you call it. Now, why can't we just use this? And by using this, instead of some of security professionals like to do the spidering manually and then save it and then run it. The problem with that is that if your developers or QA are adding new functionality, you will miss it. You have to redo the entire thing. Instead, just use the automation created by them to do this automation. Okay, so that's what we should be doing. Now, you notice that I ran this as in a head mode. It basically the browser would be shown. Whereas if I uncheck this, as you can see on this screen here, there was this headless. Let me uncheck this and run the exact thing, because in CI/CD systems, you will not have a UI to see these changes. So let's run this exactly same thing. But as you can see, the scan is running, the crawling is happening, and you can see here towards my left-hand side, when it visits a web application, these things will move. As you can see, it's moving. It's going right now, registering. Okay, it's now logged in. It's in DAST, dashboard. It's now going to task list, project list, as you can see here. It's now going to search link, and then it uploaded something here, I guess, and then that's it. And you can see we got the control. So just like this, we should now be automating our DAST scans using the exact same thing. Okay, so now coming to this, it's yeah, we made it, what do you say, literally it's like a spoon feeding. It will tell you literally to do what. Okay, so what it's saying, please click on the above button to start the exercise. Click on that. That's it. I'm not sure if people will find it difficult. If you find it difficult, that yes, even this is difficult for me, then there is a whole tutorial on how to use our platform. Okay, click on that. Okay, so you see this, how to use this platform. We not only have one, but 2 tutorials on how to use it. Okay, it will guide you how to use it and whatnot. So just please pay attention for today. You can worry about doing the exercises afterwards. You're not going to miss anything because all you're doing here is clicking the buttons. You can see here, and of course you have to understand it. And okay, as you can see, I just click on this button, and it is saying yes, you clicked on this button. That's why there's a green checkbox here. Now please tell me if this sounds overwhelming to anyone. So that's that. Okay, so you can see it's pretty straightforward. There's no gotchas here. We made it super simple, and yeah, there's nothing which can go wrong here, honestly. Okay. Now, having said that, let's see now. Can you guys all pay attention? As soon as you say, hey, this is my username, please give me access. Now we'll go ahead and then do this. Okay. So now we did the dynamic analysis scan locally on a machine, like it could be a laptop or it could be your desktop machine. Now let's put it into a CI/CD pipeline. Okay. So I click on this link called Start the Exercise. Okay, as you can see, it started the exercise. Let's move on to the next stage and let's see what does it really say. That, oh, okay, so we are now assuming that your DevOps team has created this CI pipeline, and it's already there, it's running. They have this task, build stage and test stage. And please do not feel overwhelming if you don't know this. It's pretty straightforward. We'll show you how. And when we programmatically, our platform created this link called GitLab something. And each of you will have your own CI/CD system. All you have to do is click on this button. It will open up in another tab. Okay. And when you see this, please read this message. It says the service which you're seeing doesn't exist, or it's being provisioned. Okay. If you can't access the service within 5 minutes, please contact us. Okay. So right now it's not been hold on a minute. Yeah, 5 minutes, right? Because you can see here this exercise is for about 60 minutes. It's just resolved like about past like 2 minutes now. Okay, so we'll wait. And the login credentials are these. User name is this, password is this. And once you do that, once you run this, you can visit and then see the pipeline here and whatnot. Now, for now, ignore this exercise because this is not for you. Ignore that, and then we will move on to the next steps. And you can see here, what we are really saying here is that first, we will download the ZAP to Docker stable image, and then we will run that. And then finally, once we are done, we are going to remove the Docker container. That's it. 3 commands, and we are embedding the DAST scan as part of a CI/CD pipeline. Okay. Now, all of these things, the fancy things like artifacts, paths, allow failure, you can ignore that for now. You can Google about it if you want, but again, not so important. But the 3 commands, Docker pull, Docker run, and Docker remove is what we are doing there. Okay. Now, having said that, let's see if it's been 3 minutes. Maybe let me try. Maybe it is provisioned. Okay, it is provisioned now. As you can see, I refreshed this page and it is asking me to log in. Once again, where are the username and where are the credentials? They are here on, where are they? Okay, they are here on step 1. Just click on this, it will copy to your clipboard. You don't even have to type them, right? Everything is like this, pretty easy to get started, obvious and whatnot. Okay, so this is a pipeline we have there, okay? Now we would be embedding DAST scan in the dynamic analysis phase here. Okay, so all I have to do is click on this edit button. Once again, all the instructions are here, as you can see here. Hey, click on the edit button. Once you save the changes, click on the commit changes button. So and to copy this, what you have to do is just click on this. You can see, click below to copy. Click on it, boom, copied. Okay, so let's paste it here, and there you go, it is here. Okay, so instead of doing it again and again, I would rather just go here. Second step, there is a ZAP here, so I'm going to just do that. Copy, Control A, Control V, and done. So I'm going to now say commit changes. Once again, we have to commit the changes. Okay, so let's commit the changes. As you can see here, I copied from here, pasting into GitLab CI, and then commit changes. Done. Now, you will notice as soon as I did that, here it's saying there is a pipeline and it is pending for whatever reason. Okay, click on that, and you can see it's still pending. So let it wait for a second. Maybe there's another pipeline which is running. That's why it is pending. Yes, absolutely. So there's a one pipeline which is running. It's waiting for that. Once this is done, then it will start this. Okay, so let's start that. Now, this is a pipeline. Okay, now where is the URL for this one? Once again, it's here in the verify the pipeline run. Here is the link. Click on that link. You would be taken to that link. All right. So I'm moving cursor very fast, but you don't have to worry about it because, as I said, this is all of it is documented for you. So yeah. Okay. So let it finish the scan, and okay, it finished. So this should now start scanning. So let me refresh the page once again and see if it starts the scan. Okay, still waiting. Let's wait. Okay, so let's stop this request for now so that it can, okay. So now it should hopefully run. Okay, and you can see here it is now running. Build stage, right? So there are 3 stages here: build stage, test stage, and integration stage. And then we are running in the build stage, your developers are building something. In the test stage, your testing team is doing something. We don't really care about it. And then, at least for now, and then in the integration test, we are running the ZAP scan. Okay.
Quick question. Somebody's asking, do you intend to show ZAP authenticated scan on the Jenkins CI platform instead of GitLab?
Okay, so the beauty of the approach which I'm showing currently is independent of any CI/CD system whatsoever. Okay, so that's something which we all should be noticing as well. Do not use plugins. That's what I said, right? Initially, do not use plugins, because if you use commands, they become platform independent. You can just literally copy paste them and put it into any CI/CD system. Now, let me give you an example. So we were implementing a DevSecOps pipeline for a customers of ours. Now, we moved them from Jenkins to a system called Travis CI. It's a CI/CD system, okay? And it took us literally 4 to 5 months to move from Jenkins to the Travis CI, because they were using Windows. It was hard coded into the path, into the the environment variables, paths, and whatnot. It was literally a very cumbersome experience to move from there to that. Instead, once we moved into Travis CI, everything was a command, right? So just like here in the exercise, these are the commands: docker pull, docker run, docker RMI. You put it into any pipeline, I can guarantee you, okay? If you think that's not true, come talk to me and I'll happily prove that as wrong, okay? So you can literally shove these 3 commands into any pipeline: Travis CI, Circle CI, Bitbucket CI, AWS Code Pipeline, Azure DevOps Pipeline, and it will work fine. And I can guarantee you that, okay? Just these 3 commands, not plugins. So I'm showing in GitLab, but you don't have to stick to GitLab. Copy these commands somewhere else. Those 3 commands: docker pull, docker run, docker RMI. I hope that answers your question. Okay, so try to do as much as possible automation in a platform independent way rather than doing it in a platform dependent way. That's why we are saying do not install plugins, okay, or do not use plugins. Use CLI. One quick example I could give you is checkmarks, right? So checkmarks, which is a static analysis tool, it gives you both a CLI and a plugin. Most people use plugins, and then they have hard time using it because your DevOps team is also using plugins, and they will have dependency problems, and eventually you have to remove that plugin from there. Instead, try to use their command line interface. They provide APIs as well, so you can automate some aspects of it, not completely, some aspects of it via the API. So they have like, I think 3 or 4 APIs now, but yeah. Okay, so let's see where we stand. Okay, so our scan, our pipeline finished, and look at that, it failed our build, okay? And it did say that, hey buddy, I did a scan and I found a bunch of issues, and because of it, I failed the scan, or scaled the build. So let's go ahead and download this. And towards your right-hand side, you have this called job artifacts. Click on that, load, and then it basically loads. Or you can also click on the browse, and you can see there's a zap output.json. You can download this file locally onto your machine, and then view these results in your system. As you can see here, I'm just going to use the word wrap, and I can see there's a lot of issues which Zap found. Our job is now to go ahead and then fix these things. Okay, so that's how you put that into CI/CD pipeline using just a couple of lines of code. Okay, so again, the point I want to bring home here is that it doesn't have to be complicated to do this. You know, it can be pretty easy as long as you know what you're doing. Okay, fair enough. So that's that, right? So there are other techniques which you have to know about, like what is the path, when and allow failure and whatnot. So let's move on and then talk about what are the other ways we can leverage this automation. Okay. Fair enough. So let's move on to the presentation. Okay, so this is a typical QA setup which we have, and then you do the active scan. We saw that, right? And I also showed you a demo on how the QA scripts can be used to kind of automate the QA test for Django MV. Okay, so we did that. Now, here is what we would be doing. So this is a typical setup for a ZAP or dynamic analysis. You know, you would be using a browser or to drive your ZAP. That's how I showed you in the beginning. And then use ZAP then to attack it. Once you're done with spidering, you will attack the application. Now, this, you know, this combination of spider, the Selenium or robot or Gauge framework giving you the ability to crawl an application effectively, even though they are JavaScript heavy, is pretty awesome, you know, which guarantees awesome spidering, right? And then ZAP has awesome attack capabilities. So we will be using these things. So we will be using the best of the spidering and the best of attack to make our job easy. Okay. And a tip here is that you should be creating a profile which is like a new instance. Think it like that, the new instance of Firefox while doing this, so that you can keep track of your network proxy settings, configurations, and other details there. Okay. And this is a typical workflow which happens behind the scenes when you're running the dynamic analysis active scans in CI/CD pipeline or otherwise, right? First, what you do is you run your ZAP in the background as a daemon, which means that it's running as a service and listening behind the scenes. And then once you're done with that, once the ZAP starts behind the scenes, then you run these Selenium scripts or QA scripts via ZAP, and basically ZAP is now acting as a man in the middle or human in the middle, right? Person in the middle kind of attack. And then it's a good proxy, you know, a good man in the middle. And then once the spidering is done, we programmatically then started to say, okay, can you go spider some more and see if you will find some new URLs? And it will do that. Once you're done with that, we then run the active scan, the full-blown scan, right? And once the scan is done, it would give us the results and it would stop there. Okay, so this is the typical workflow or life cycle of a ZAP scan, an active scan, and this is what we should be running as part of CI/CD pipeline. Otherwise, traditionally you just use these things, ZAP active scan, and then get the results. Now these 3 extra steps are there now because of DevSecOps and automation. Now I do have a demo. I think we do have exercise as well here related to the ZAP setup for active scan. But what we did here though is we kept all of these for the sake of simplicity into one container, right? But while you're using this in real time, these are different containers or different tasks altogether. Maybe you're running Selenium on one machine, ZAP on another machine, and what have you. Okay, so let's see an example of this in our browser-based labs. Okay, so this is what we did before. Let's go ahead and then look into advanced DAST. So I'm going to start the term exercise. As you can see, as soon as I did that, we are dropped into a terminal, and it's an interactive terminal. You can type commands, whatever commands you want to type. It's not restricted in any way, at least. So, okay, so next thing is we did created all of those automation scripts here so that it's easy for us to understand. As you can see, ZAP is installed on this machine. And there's a bunch of options which ZAP provides. So we'll look into those things. You can explore those things, but this is important for us here. As you can see here, ZAP allows us to run ZAP as a daemon, which basically runs in a daemon mode without a UI, because while you're running it in CI/CD pipeline, there is no UI. That's why we are running it in daemon mode. Okay, and then we are running it on port 8080, just like how all proxies like ZAP above run on 8080 by default. So we are using that. And for the sake of exercise, we are disabling the API keys, but if you're running on your desktop machine, please enable API. We don't really care about security of this instance because it's again contained, and also it is lives for only for a couple of minutes and it gets destroyed. And these this UI changes, the machine names changes very rapidly. Okay, so having said that, let's go ahead and then run it behind the scenes in a daemon mode, and you'll see as soon as I did that, it started something, and it is using some memory and blah 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 blah. Okay, now hit enter if you see a bunch of errors here or a bunch of things here, but hit enter. Let's go to the next step. And now I did show you this, like how we can do spidering in an automated way instead of using buttons, right? These things here. So this is what this exercise is talking about. How can I do AJAX spidering in an automated fashion in CI/CD pipeline? Okay, so this is a script. Now anything which is in the back, you just click on it, and there's also, you see the hand has changed, the cursor has changed to a hand now. Click on that, it executes. So basically this is now creating a file called traditional spidering.py, and you can see here. Okay, this is a script which we are running. And then I added some print statements here, blah, 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 and spiderings and whatnot. Okay, simple scripts. So let's go ahead and then run the script. Okay, so ignore some of these errors, but okay, voila. So it did run the spidering, and it did say, hey buddy, I found this URL, I find this URL, I found this URL, but it did not find the ones which were behind the authentication, like a dashboard or a task list or a project list, right? So we'll do that in a couple of minutes. Okay, so we'll see how we can automate the authenticated scan as well. We could very well use the QA scan to do that, but yeah, the output is also mentioned here. And so you can compare, okay, what should I be expecting in the command? Here is what you should be expecting in the command, right? This is the output, the command output. And once again, if you're not comfortable with the platform, go ahead, click on this link, and then learn the platform, how to use it, what everything means here. You can see here, this is the notification, and we say move your mouse over to the right side and click on the start button, run the command, click on this button, blah blah blah. So it's pretty evident what we do here. Click copy. This is how you copy and whatnot. Okay, so it should be straightforward. Okay. So that's that. Now, what about AJAX spidering? Right. So if your application is using AJAX for front end, then how does it look like? So as you can see here, started the ZAP scan in AJAX mode. And again, once again, this is I'm running Vim here, AJAX spidering.py, and you can see here. Okay, so we do have these things. Okay, fair enough. Okay, so let's run this and see if it finds some more links. Okay, that's running. Let it run. Okay, it did do scan, but it looks like it did not find any, or I'm not really pushing the results. Let's see. Run that once again. Okay, scan in progress. Okay, it did find now, and you can see it is giving me a lot of this gibberish here. Okay, fair enough. So it looks like it finished, and it did find these things here and whatnot. Fair enough. Pretty rude, deliberately, pretty crude, so to say, deliberately to keep these things simple and not overwhelm you there. Okay. Okay, fair enough. That's what we did there. The next thing which we would be doing is now how we can do this automation as part of Selenium automation. Use this Selenium automation to run our scan. So let's click on this link. Once again, as you can see, we are now installing a Firefox driver here. We're installing Selenium here. And then once we are done with installation, we are setting up environment variables, right? Hey, I want to attack the machine which is available at this URL, right? I showed you this before. Let me show it again. It changes every 20 minutes. So as you can see, there's this machine which we are going to attack, and it's living in our environment, so you don't have to worry about you kind of attacking someone else's machine. But please don't be malicious, okay? If you do see that, we'll just shut off access immediately. Okay, now next thing which we do here is that we are now using the QA test which I showed you before, right? And then the one thing you have to notice here is this, we are saying here run it is in a headless mode, okay? So that's something you have to keep it in mind. And then we are just running this in the headless mode here. So now the scans are running. It's just that you don't know it because the application is sitting here. Sorry, where is that? Application is here. If we do have access to the backend, we can figure out like how I showed you on my local machine when I was attacking or doing this QA scans. These things were moving, right? Because I deliberately kept this log open, so you can see that in action. Okay, you'll see that it will move now. Okay, you can see it's moving now slowly. Same goes here as well. Okay, so yeah, so that's an example of the DAST scan. The QA Selenium thing. Now we will marry all of these together to run a dynamic analysis scan. Now for that, I prepared a demo as well. And that demo is in ZAP Docker. And I would let you guys struggle a bit on how to automate this using ZAP. And after 2 to 3 days, we will open or enable the test in your environment, the advanced authenticated test in your lesson. So we deliberately did not add the authenticated scan yet here. It's there. You just don't see it. It's hidden. Okay. So do this exercise, come back to me, my colleague, and then see if you got this. Run the test via ZAP and automate it via Selenium, and then print the fun things. I'll show you a demo of 1 minute. Okay, fair enough. Okay, so let's see the demo now. Okay, so now as you can see here, I was automating the OWASP ASVS verification test, basically using ZAP here, right? That was a demo. So we will not be seeing that right now, but see how we can create a custom. I think one of you was asked, like, do we need to create a custom image? Yes. So let's see what are we doing here. Okay, so I'm opening the Docker file, and as you can see, I'm leveraging, of course, the ZAP to Docker weekly containers from OWASP itself. And then I'm installing Firefox, I'm installing Gecko, and this is exactly what we did here as well, if you notice, right? Initially, I install Firefox, and then I install Gecko driver, and then I install Selenium, right? So I'm doing that exactly the same thing here. And once we do that, right, the Gecko driver is installed. I'm installing then Selenium, and then the OWASP Python bindings. And once that's done, I'm starting this start zap.sh program. Okay, sorry, the script. So that script is here. This is the script. So let's see what it is doing behind the scenes. Okay, as you can see, we are first running ZAP in a daemon mode. Did we not cover this in here? We did. Where did we do that? Yeah, it's here. You can see here ZAP daemon mode, this thing here. So we did that. So that's what we did. And once we are done with that, then we ran the ZAP's Python script, which is zap-python. Maybe there is there's definitely a better way of doing this, but this is the easiest I could make it to look like, to make it look like simple. Okay, but usually these are different systems. Okay, as you can see here, I'm just saying, hey, use Selenium driver, use ZAP here, and then you can see here I hard coded my URL. Okay, here in the script, yes, I did hard code it. But if you notice here in the examples, I did not. I said export target. This is what you would be doing in CI/CD pipeline. So that's the differences here. Okay. So let's see if my application is live and it is listening on this IP address. This is running in a VM, one of my VM. Okay. Yes, there is this application. It is running on here. So let me attack this machine locally. Okay. And then once I did that, basically starting these, and there's a proxy in the headless mode. And of course, you see here, there's a lot of comments to showcase what's going on, invoking the Firefox driver. And then here, if you see, I literally copy pasted the Selenium automation, which I gave you before in the last exercise. I literally copied this. And here we are registering a user called user10 with this password. And then we are logging in here. Now you might be asking me, oh, what if I don't know? How do I come to know about these URLs or these IDs? It's pretty simple stuff. Very, very simple, honestly. Okay. All you have to do is, let's say, go to the login page and then right click on it and say inspect. All right. Click on the inspect tab here, and you should see a label here. All right, so you see there's a label here, like a password, there's a label and whatnot. But let us also open up this one here, and you can see, there is this ID. This is forget password. Yeah, you can see that here. Now, if I go to the registration page, which is sign up page, and once again, right click on it, view the source, you will see that these IDs are coming, as you can see, ID first name, ID last name, ID email, password. These are coming from there, and your DevOps, your QA team has already done this way for you. Okay, so all you have to do is you have to leverage these. Now, how we are marrying Selenium with these scripts, right? How are we doing it? Is the way we are doing it is because we have set up the proxy. The browser proxy is this, but the Selenium proxy would be the ZAP scanner. Okay, so that's how we are. As you can see here, we are setting up the browser proxy and then passing it via Firefox. Okay, so that's what is going on there. Okay, which is literally, if you want to do it, look at it in a programmatical way. This is what we are doing. Selenium is running Firefox, and then Firefox is then being proxied into ZAP, and then that is going into production machine. So that's how it is doing. It's going. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so if you scroll down, once we are done with that, so we are logged in now, right? Because we use Selenium to log in. Then we are doing a spidering. Then we are doing active scan, which is basically go attack it. And then finally, once we are done with the scan, we are just alerting these issues. ZAP scan is done. Okay. Now, in order to save some time, it will take a while. I already created the image, and this is the image. As you can see here, there are nodes. I already created this, and then I'm just going to run it. And since we hard-coded everything, we don't have to worry about the target and what have you. Okay, so as you can see, this is running ZAP script. Started ZAP scan, then it will start the spidering. Okay, so there you go. You see here, started ZAP Selenium script, and so on. What happened? Something went wrong here. Oh, maybe because I'm running ZAP here. Okay. Right. So let's run that, and it will scan and then come back after an hour or so. So even this silly application would take close to an hour to finish and run. Okay. So this is, I would challenge you to do this exercise like this. And of course, you have all the pieces available here. You just have to stitch them together and then see if you can come up with this script. Okay. Okay.
Imran,
so you will not. Go ahead.
Would you say so? Is DAST the gift or the bane?
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
So that's the title,
it is a gift.
Right?
yeah. It is a gift, provided you know how to reduce the bane aspect of it, right? which is to automate it, write custom rule sets, which I was showing you guys, right? So you have to do these things in CI/CD pipeline. Otherwise, you can't automate that in DevSecOps or CI/CD pipeline. And honestly, the documentation of ZAP is pretty good. You've spent like a couple of hours on that, and you should be pretty good. And as I said, the examples which I showed you here are also pretty self-explanatory there. Very, very simple examples. And the documentation is amazing. Go check that out, and you should be able to do that.
Cool.
Okay.
Thank you, Imran. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
I don't know if you can see in the chat, but someone has said, great research from the practical DevSecOps team. The setup of the trainings and the labs are awesome.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm glad you liked it. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about these next steps. Okay, so we did that, like how we can do this now. Let's look at now an example of how we can find security issues in APIs now. We'll see two examples, if time permits, both authenticated scans, API scan, and unauthenticated API scan, okay? Okay, now ZAP provides this amazing script called ZAP API scan, which will allow you to scan an open API, basically a REST API, or an API which is written in SOAP, both of these. Now let's look at an example of what I'm talking about. So we created in-house an application on an API called, go back to directories, one API, okay? Okay, so this is the API. So let's start this API by these two commands, which is basically an application which we are running on a local machine. So, okay, fair enough. So this is the application. The application or API, which we are going to attack right now, is this. Okay, so this is the application. Okay, it's not up yet. Give it a time. Give it a couple of seconds. Yes, I'm in the right directory. Okay, it started now, thankfully. Okay, I was thinking what happened. Okay, so as you can see, this is the API, and for obvious reasons, it is stupidly simple. But what you could do in this API is it's a to-do list API. As you can see, if you go to this URL, API version v1 resources to-dos, you can see there are to-do lists by me, so buy groceries, buy a lamp, and buy a laptop. Right. So these are the three different entries I have in my application. Okay, and I can literally go and then view only one such to-do list by using these numbers like 1, 2, 3, and 4, whatever. Now this is the API. Now the good thing about, but traversing this, automating this via ZAP or any DAST scanner would be extremely difficult unless you know where each endpoint is, and then you have to learn this. Like as a security engineer, you would spend so much of your time trying to learn, oh, what options do I have to provide, what do I need to do, and what not. So it becomes extremely nightmarish. So for this, what you can do, what you can ask them to do, is to ask them to implement something called Open API specifications, which is basically Swagger. And voila, you can see here now, this is exactly the same thing which we saw right in the browser, but this time around it gives you a nice UI, which you can run it without having to custom code anything. As you can see here, I did it automatically ran this script, and it got me this output, same output which we saw in the browser. Now I can literally copy this locally on my local machine, and let's see that. Okay, so let's do that. Let me run it locally as well to show you. Okay, there you go. This is how typically it would look like, but it would be extremely not user friendly. So that's the reason why you ask them to implement this one. If you do this, if your developers do implement this, most of them do anyways, then you'll get this nice JSON format, the specification, which will tell you exactly, okay, this is a path which you can or should be attacking, and I'm expecting a GET request here. And this is a definition of the task. What is the definition? If you scroll down at the bottom, it will tell you what is my definition of the task. Where is the task definition? Okay, it's here. Definition of the task. I need a date, I need an ID, a to-do item, a string, and the username, right? Something like that. So this is a specification. Now, doing this manually will take ages, and it would be extremely error prone, and you cannot assure your developers that yes, you have covered everything, right? And with this handy script from ZAP or API script, you can do is you can automate this entire process by just one line of code, right? Just one line of code, and that line of code is this. So let me copy this, and you can say I'm saying the option for this is Open API specification, and the output is basically in XML format. Give me XML format so I can push it into a vulnerability management system like Defector and what have you. Okay. So let me start another terminal. And once again, this would be on the platform, but I want you guys to get your hands dirty and not make it like literally click commands. Okay, so looks like there is some error here. Let's do that. What is the error, sir? Okay, so this is good. Specification is good. API is good. And oh yeah, there's a -t, I guess. That might be causing the issue. No? API specification. Oh yeah, there's a there's a double L. Is it this issue? No, man. So let's just stick to see if that works. Okay, it worked. Some weird issue. Okay, as you can see here, my scan is running, right? And at the top, you will notice now you will see a lot of gibberish, which is ZAP attacking this application, literally bombarding it with just a lot of fuzzing and a lot of crazy inputs like SQL injection, XSS, and what have you. Okay, so let's wait for that. So it's still spidering probably, parsing the input. And please note this is unauthenticated at the moment. Initializing, blah, blah, blah. Import URL, let's see that. Hold on a minute. Okay, let's verify. Ah, I see. Okay, I remember now. Can anyone guess why this did not work? This was supposed to be an exercise for our students. Can anyone guess why that didn't work?
Let me see in the chat if anyone guessed that. We do have a delay on the video, so that's also, we'll give them a couple seconds. I don't see any answers for now.
Sure, fair enough. So this did not work because we are using localhost, and localhost here means the Docker container, and that's not where we are running an application, right? It is in. I think I did document all of this, if I'm not wrong. Somewhere. Yeah. Okay, it is documented here. That's good. Okay, so you can see here, that's the command we should be using. So let's paste it here once again, and then run the API scan now. This is unauthenticated API scan. We will do authenticated API scan in a minute. Okay, now we should see a lot of attack traffic coming in here. Okay, as you can see, it did start. Let me separate this with this here. So when it does attack it, we have some separation to know, okay, it is attacking. So waiting for it to start the scan. Let me okay, well, it's taking a while. Let me free up some space so I have more RAM for this. It's definitely resource hungry, Java especially. So that's that. I'm not seeing any traffic. As soon as it read this, I think it stopped literally. So let me close that. And then, oh, it worked now. Fair enough. So let's start this. I killed a couple of tasks on my machine, so it has enough memory to work with. So I'm going to close this as well. Okay, it is still running. Okay, I'll not waste your time, so let's move on. I think when it finishes off, we'll see that it is it would definitely do it. Definitely do the scan. So let's move on and then talk about the other topics we have. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so this is explanation about it, right? You have baseline scan, which is good for CI/CD pipeline. We have active scan, again, meant for QA scans and API scan. You can use it in CI/CD pipeline. It's not as bad as active scan, but it does take a good amount of time. And then checks only API attacks, but you can configure it appropriately by default. It does that, and it's a digital file or open API specification. If you do not have these, you have to construct all of these things manually or use the QA scans which we have seen, and it does need some tuning to work with it. Now, this is the example which I showed you. This is a command line. That's the command line to use it. And then you can see that this is what is happening behind the scenes. It is importing the API definition and actively scanning the API endpoints using custom scan profile tuned for APIs, and then finally reporting these issues on the command line. And this is how these are the different command options which gives you. The one thing which is very important for us here is the reporting -X here or -J, capital J. It's not here. Okay, it's not mentioned here, but we probably removed it. And then the other option we have here is called -F format, which type of API it is, Open API or SOAP, and this will help you scan that. And just like how we had the baseline scan, this is the output of our API, and this is how it would look like once the scan finished. And I literally copy pasted that output, which you will be seeing in a minute. And you can see here we got X content type here, version controls, buffer overflows, format string errors, and what have you. Some of these are false positives, so we can work on that, on how to reduce the false positives as well. Okay, so let's see if we have any progress here. Nope, something went wrong here. Fair enough. Anyway, we have exercise which works on the platform, which we will be, as I said, enabling it after 3 days, just so that you can get your hands dirty and then explore these things on your own. Now, having said that, from here on, it's going to be extremely difficult to probably catch up with. Okay, so this is about what are the different configurations you can make, how to reduce false positives, how to make sure that you capture the, hey, this is work in progress, don't fail the build because of this issue. And then we have exercise once again on that. So with this, we would be finishing the spidering aspect of the ZAP. And then the attack aspect is what we are just getting started now, which is passive scan or active scan. How do you do that? You know, these are the, as you can see, you can start the passive scan by just using this one line. The while something is the key there. The rest of these, the target ZAP, are pretty common to spidering and everything else. So while he's here. And then active scan is about this. Again, once again, these two lines, the scan ID and the while loop, is all it takes for you to automate the active scan. And once it reaches 100%, it kills off itself. And then we can print out the results using this. And the line which is important here is this alerts, ZAP alerts something, and then it will give you the results to us. And this is how the result might look like in JSON format. And okay, now what about, let's say, if you want to do an okay, so if you want to generate the scan programmatically, the output of the output file, you can do this as well. ZAP provides API, that's another one. Now let's talk a little bit about, we have about a couple of more minutes, so we'll just quickly talk about, I'll show you code example and then we'll be done with it. Now there are a bunch of different, sorry,
okay.
Let me continue this.
Yeah.
Okay. So the bunch of authentication schemes available, maybe you're using SSO, OAuth, JSON token, JWT, and what have you. And each of them would require different kind of headers, different kind of mechanism. Maybe you're using bearer tokens, you're not using it, you have endpoints, and auth endpoint might be different for each thing. So ignore that. I'll talk about this. This is a simple example of form-based authentication. And then, hold on, ignore this. Not that. Okay, now here is what you have to do authenticated scans. You have to write custom rule sets, custom scripts, which will help you do 3 things. Thing number 1, it will go talk to your API or your application, get the token. And thing 2, which you would be doing is that once you get the token, you would be attaching that token to every request which ZAP makes or every request which Burp Suite makes. And then so that, every time you hit your endpoints, it has that token, authenticated token. And you have a lot of these scripts from available on ZAP. I do also have an example to show you and how we can create custom rules stuff here. Like you can create this in authentication script. Okay. Okay, so I think this is what I wanted to cover. I will quickly show you a quick example of that on how it looks like. Okay, where is that? ZAP automation. So let me stop this, guys. Okay. Okay, so where was I? Yeah. So we were automating the API, the authenticated APIs, ZAP automation. And then as you can see, these are the files you need to automate the authenticated workflow, which is you need an authentication script and we need as HTTP script. And as I was mentioning before, that you need to do two things, right? Which is get the token, which is what we will be doing here in the authentication token, and then attach this token to every request ZAP makes by using HTTP sender token request. And all of these are available under the scripts. Here goes those scripts. And you'll see this is authentication. There are different types of scripts, honestly. Authentication script is one we would be using, and HTTP script is another one. As you can see, we can add extra header. These are the ones which are taken from the ZAP extra scripts, extra things, right? So you can install them by following this marketplace. So there's a marketplace. So as you can see, I have these community scripts installed, custom payloads installed, and that's what you're seeing here. And I do have my own custom changes here somewhere. And you can add a custom. You can see here I added this token, which is added to every request we make. It's not enabled here, but if you do it, and then to make a request to your application, as you can see, I'm making a request. And then once I get that, I'm storing it in a variable. As you can see, I have a CSRF token, which is kind of blocks most often this DAST scans. So we can add that CSRF token and any cookies, any headers you need to add to every request, right? So that's what we're doing there. Okay, so that's that. And then you also need to provide it with context. And context is basically you saying that how do I figure out if the application is logged out, right? So that I can then once again send out authenticated cookies session, Okay, so the context is available here. Right click on it and then go here. As you can see, included in context, what kind of users am I going to use? Here you can add a user here, and you can see username, password that would be used for session authorizations, custom authorization things, and how would it look like? How do I figure out if I successfully got a horizontal privilege escalation or vertical privilege escalation? What to exclude? I would really like to exclude sign-out pages, the ones which might change the state of a customer's information and something like that. So that's something to keep in mind. And I can also define which technology I'm using here. I know for sure I'm using MySQL because I created that, and then I know for Python, so that we don't waste time in searching for all of these vulnerabilities which are not there anyway. And we are using Mac here, and you can keep it Linux, Windows is gone. It's not, we are not using Apache or IIS or Tomcat, so that's that. So you define this context programmatically again. And okay, you might say, how do I get this? Right click on it, and then you can say export context, and then I save that. I literally did that and then saved it into this file called one API context. All right, and this is what it looks like. As you can see, I enable this is Mac OS, and this is base64 format of my username and password. This is username is admin, password is also admin, as you can see here. If you basics decode it, you will get that information. So I think I will stop here, but you get the notion. You then run the script, which will take this context, take the policy. Okay, let's look at the policy as well once quickly. So policy, look at the different policies. As you can see here, the policy name is API. I added P6 plugins, whatnot. So this is to say, I don't want you to test everything, talk about specifically for my thing, enable that, and what have you. So you can pick up these policies. You can create these policies also from ZAP and export this. They will be available in the context. Where are they? Policy. Yeah, so they are here somewhere where you can design the policy, create the policy, and then I think they are somewhere here. Oh yeah, okay. So default active scan policy, you can see I created SQL injection only policy, XSS policy, write policy, default policy, pipeline policy. I can use that to make my job easy. So you can do all of these configurations as well there. Yeah, I think with that, we will stop here because it's a lot of content definitely to take in. And yeah, if you have any questions, we'll take the questions now.
It is a lot.
There's a lot of content. I did miss a few questions that were way back, so I'll just mention them again. So someone was asking, in your opinion, how good is the ZAP fuzzer?
For free, it's pretty good. No, it's a free software. What do you expect, right? So it is pretty good. But probably it has, as I said, the learning curve is a bit steep compared to other, especially Burp Suite. It's a bit steep, but definitely worth learning this thing. Once you learn it, you will become unstoppable, honestly, and you will love doing it on a day-to-day basis, using it day-to-day basis. Yeah.
Okay, what else do we have? I think I saw something else. Can we pass a custom ZAP policy file in DAST Scans?
That's what I'm doing with this. When I showed you on the command line, there was this policy called vulnerable API.policy, and I defined this policy on a project basis. So every project will have its own policy because they have their own endpoint, their own stack. Especially if you're using microservices, every team might be using different stacks. Some might be using Java, Python, or Ruby on Rails. So you have to say, and the database changed, stack changes. So you have to create that policy, stack, and context, what have you with it, along with it. So yeah, that's why I was saying, without doing these custom changes, no tool will work fine. And that is the bane of it. And boon is it's pretty awesome. It finds security issues. But the problematic aspects of DAST is you have to write these tests and then marry them together. I hope that answers the question.
What else do I have? Do I also require testing experience to learn DevSecOps? I am from background.
No, honestly, no. So all of these terms, like which you see, like infrastructure as code, configuration as code, policy as code, they're literally a bunch of YAML files and JavaScript in code. That's it. So not always, but it's good to know anything like programming, especially if you can read a JSON file, parse it, and print out some output, then that's amazing. Yeah, if you can do that, yeah, you should be doing that. And especially, I believe, and a lot of people disagree with me, but right now, I think down the line, 5 to 10 years from now, there won't be any separate segregation that, there is an InfoSec engineer, there's an AppSec engineer, there is something. It's already happening in the DevOps sphere where there's no QA anymore in many things. There's now everything is, test-driven development, behavior-driven developer, where developers are expected to do the testing as well. Similarly, security might be just security, not be segregated. Like SOC might be still there, but infrastructure as code, infra security, network security might not be there as a long-term career. Maybe you will do it for some time and then you move on to application or something like that. So you might have heard about this term called software is eating the world, especially on the cloud. Everything is software defined. So you do need the networking experience and whatnot, but not as regularly as you traditionally do these days. So I hope that answers your question. But again, to learn DevSecOps, you don't really need to know a lot, right? And we do, as part of our courses, we do say the prerequisite is you have to know OWASP top 10. That's it. And we literally believe that. And then we, and a couple of our students are, I guess, they're here. They can certify to that yes. And as part of our courses in the span of 30 days, we teach them 9 different CI/CD systems. Imagine that. We don't publicize it for looking for like people. We used to keep it like 9 CI/CD systems, and the people say, "You must be kidding, yeah, you're super overconfident." So we took down, we kept only 2 of them now. So, but yeah, literally, you will learn 9 different CI/CD systems. Yeah, I think DevSecOps are, in general, anything is not tough, especially programming or CI/CD or DevOps. Security people are scared of these terms, but you do not have to. You learned security, which people think that is awesome or difficult to learn. You learned it, so obviously you can learn the other things. Now, if you think that you can't still and you need a lot of help, please feel free to reach out to me. Consider subscribing or taking our courses. And there's also offer there right now. If you click on the offers there, we are running a black hat deal right now, like up to $200 is off there. So you can check that out as well if you're struggling. In general, we also have a lot of open source projects like DevSecOps University, DevSecOps Studio. DevSlop is again amazing. Especially I like the work done by Francisca. She automates the entire testing of firewalls in the CI/CD pipeline, which is amazing. Like first time I saw that, I was like blown away. Like, ooh, this is awesome. We should all be doing it. Why we did not even do this before or thought about it? So check that out. This one. So we have about 200 plus CDP certified professionals in the world. Like 5,000 people have taken the course so far. But for CDE, it's just about give and take 50 people who are certified in CDE. Because the exam for CDP is 12 hours, which many people pass, but the CDE is extremely difficult. And the content which you saw right now would be asked in the exam for you to implement from like in 24 hours. So that's why it's less. So it's extremely difficult. So unless you have that foundation of CDP, people don't clear it. And this is just the tip of an iceberg you saw. Right now, the kind of depth we go in CDE is it's crazy. We just to tell you that we do threat modeling as code. We do diagrams as code. We create diagrams from code and stuff like that. And we automate RAS, DAST, RASP, and whatnot as part of CI/CD pipelines and what have you. So it becomes crazy. That's why CDP is mandatory.